Thank you for joining me here tonight. The time is now 10:32 p.m. Central, 11:32 p.m. Eastern, and you have a live look at a brand new tornado warning going out for portions of Webster and Greene counties in Missouri. This is a tornado warning for portions of Highway 60 southeast of Springfield, including Cody, Palmetto, Oak Grove Heights, Fordland, Diggins, and Seymour along Highway 60. So if you're in this area, you need to seek shelter immediately on the lowest floor of a sturdy building, away from windows and in an interior room. We believe that there is a tornadic circulation located south of Fordland that is going to have the capabilities to produce a tornado very shortly here. We're likely seeing a mesocyclone handoff feature. As you can see, we had rotation associated with where our hook echoes at, but we're starting to see some broad rotation kick up further south in the storm. So there's a good chance that we're going to see this storm change shapes here on the reflectivity very, very shortly as it approaches Fordland. So again, if you are in this area, we need you to make sure that you are seeking shelter immediately, as this tornado warning is going to be in effect for the next 12 minutes here. Now, we do not have any storm chasers out here tonight on YouTube. Unfortunately, they have all decided that they are going to wait for tomorrow's event after tonight's event started as a bust, as convection did not get going until much later in the nighttime hours than what we were expecting. However, again, things are certainly getting going underway now as we have a tornado warning in southwestern Missouri with some pretty intense rotation they're trying to develop near Fordland. So again, if you're in this area, make sure that you are seeking shelter immediately. I'm sorry we didn't schedule this stream out or anything, and I'm also sorry I'm going live a little bit later than whenever the tornado warning actually got issued. I was working on what is going to be my biggest tornado documentary project of all time. So again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in on this very late night here. I appreciate you guys staying up late with me watching these tornadoes and thunderstorms, because there's not going to be anybody live here tonight for this big event that we're going to potentially end up seeing from a wind and hail perspective. Again, the tornado threat, sure, it's minimal, but we definitely can't rule out some large to very large hail and extreme damaging wind gusts, and we've already seen a couple of instances of that back into portions of Oklahoma and Arkansas. As you can see, we do have reports of trees blown down from Gentry, and we've also got reported of 60 to 65 mile an hour wind gusts, as well as golf ball sized hail from portions of central Oklahoma, with a supercell that is now moving northwest of McAllister near Henrietta. So again, got ourselves a pretty intense night of severe weather coverage here, but we're not going to be here for super long because, again, from a tornado perspective, our threat for today is somewhat low. However, again, definitely going to be watching out for some wind and hail as we watch this line of storms eventually develop here across portions of the Central Plains. So what's going on, Mr. Twister, GR, Levi, Sydney, Mr. Packer, Evan, Sanja, Airborne, McCormick family, Bike, XWX, Evan, how's it going tonight, chat? Again, we I have a lot of people tuning in here tonight, considering that this is a very late nighttime stream, so I appreciate y'all for joining me again. We're going to go ahead and share this out on social media, and I encourage you guys to do the same, because as far as I'm aware, we are the only channel live right now covering this, and we're going to be here live for as long as necessary as this rotation continues to look concerning near Fordland, and we're, even once this ends, we're still going to have some severe thunderstorms to watch across portions of Oklahoma and Texas, and then also we've got ourselves a big event to forecast for tomorrow, and especially Sunday now. A day 3 enhanced risk of severe weather has been put in place for portions of central Missouri back in a far west central Illinois. This is likely going to be driven by a damaging wind or large hail threat. However, I would not be surprised to see upgrades to this tornado risk as we get closer to the day 1 outlook, and again, we're going to have a breakdown on that at the end of the stream here, but for right now, we need to focus in on our radar indicated area of circulation near Fordland, Missouri. Again, this is east of Springfield. If you know anybody in this area, make sure to send them this stream, because this is actually a relatively populated region. We did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning going out for sections of Oklahoma. That is for our supercell right up along the Oklahoma-Texas state line. This is for Dixon, Ardmore, and Mansville in southern Oklahoma. So if you're in this area, make sure that you're moving indoors immediately. Some quarter-sized hail and 60 mile an hour wind gusts there with that cell as it crosses I-35 north of Gainesville, Texas. Again, some of these North Texas supercells here, we are going to watch for maybe some rotation to develop with them. This one near Henrietta looks like it's developing pretty good, becoming pretty mature. So we'll watch out for this down the line. We do have a tornado watch in place for sections of northwestern Texas and south central Oklahoma here, as we do actually have quite a bit of wind shear out here in this environment. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, at this point, a tornado threat remains relatively low. Again, if we were to see a tornado threat, it would likely come out of those storms, however. So give me just a second here. Again, Again, I'm going to share this on social media. I encourage you guys to do the same. But anyways, we've got ourselves a lot to talk about tonight, so we'll go ahead and stay zoomed in here on our rotation and give me just a second. Alrighty. So again, let me know where y'all are tuning in from so that we know what areas to watch, because we've got ourselves a huge slight risk of severe weather tonight. This thing goes all the way from portions of Wisconsin, I believe, back through sections, or portions of southwestern Michigan, all the way back through northwestern Texas. So again, definitely not a typically sized slight risk of severe weather, but again, this is going to be a huge QLCS event that we're expecting to develop here as we go into the late nighttime hours. And again, a couple of brief tornadoes can't be ruled out as well across sections of Oklahoma and maybe back in through portions of Missouri. So I see that we've got people tuning in from Arkansas, Texas. That is good because, whoa, Blaine with the $2 donation. W. Blaine's down below in the chat. Thank you so much. You know what? Since our chasers aren't out there today, we'll go ahead and throw a dono board up there and give you the #1 spot on that. So again, huge shout out to Blaine for the $2 donation. Again, spam those W. Blaines in the chat. He's always here. He's always supportive. So thank you so much, Blaine, for that $2 donation. If somebody would like to type me out a little message that I can pin at the top of the chat, just talking about rules, the policies on donations and stuff like that, that would be greatly appreciated. Again, donations are not required in any way, but the people that do go above and beyond and decide to donate, I really, really do appreciate that. But again, if you can't donate, I completely understand. Liking and subscribing helps just as much, just in a different way. So again, Blaine, thank you so much for the $2 donation, and let's go ahead and get right back into our severe weather coverage here. So again, we've got ourselves a rotating portion of this storm that we believe is going to have the capability to produce a brief tornado over the next 10 minutes or so just east of Fordland, Missouri at this point. Again, you can start to see this kind of taking a QLCS shape associated with our line of storms further down to the south. It's kind of, congealing into that line of storms, and we're likely going to see that enhance the damaging wind threat with this portion of the supercell. So we're going to watch out for some potential upgrades to this severe thunderstorm warning, maybe mentioning the threat of damaging winds up to 70 miles an hour as this continues to move off to the east-southeast. So again, if you're in Diggins, you need to make sure that you're staying in your safe spot. At this point, we can give the all clear to Fordland. Fordland is fine. We're concerned about areas off to your east. They're along Highway 60, again, near Diggins, Findlay Falls, and Seymour. Thank you, Mr. Twister. That's amazing. Again, I would have just typed one out right there, but we kind of have to stay focused in here on this active tornado warning that we have in effect for portions of Webster County at this point. Again, this tornado warning will likely be reissued as we still have some broad rotation. Whoa! Mr. Twister with the $1 dono. W. Mr. Twister in the chat. Thank you so much. Again, Mr. Twister also a huge W in the community, so huge shout out to Mr. Twister for that $1 donation. Again, thank you so much, dude. Again, spam those W's in the chat. Let Mr. Twister know that we love him. Awesome stuff. So anyway, as we were saying, a tornado warning will likely be reissued here shortly for portions of Webster County as this rotation continues to look somewhat impressive as it approaches Diggins and Seymour. So we're going to watch out for this because there is certainly the chance that we do see a brief spin-up tornado here embedded in our line of storms at this point. Again, I appreciate all you guys tuning in tonight. If you are new here, make sure to like and subscribe because whoa. Davis says weather just said my name on stream. Okay, Levi's just trolling. He's texting me right now. But, again, if you are new here, make sure to like and subscribe because we do this every day for areas all across the country, whether it's severe weather, hurricanes, or tornadoes. I guess tornadoes are severe weather. Blizzards is what I meant to say. We've got you covered. Yesterday, we did over 4 hours of severe weather coverage in total whenever we saw those horrendous storms in Iowa and Nebraska. By the way, I do have some updates for you guys on that. Our tornado that was confirmed on the north side of the Omaha metro region has been given a preliminary rating of EF3 with 140 mile per hour wind gusts. So a very intense tornado that hit the north side of the Omaha metro, the same area that our historic Elkhorn tornado impacted less than a year ago. And our tornado near Essex, Iowa, luckily it missed the town, so it was only given a preliminary high-end EF1 rating, but it was 1.8 miles wide at its peak, which is the largest Iowa tornado of all time. It's larger than Greenfield. It's larger than the Winterset tornado was. This is larger than what Minden was. This is the largest largest Iowa tornado that we've ever seen, and the largest tornado we've seen in general since the Bassfield So-So disaster. So it was a huge tornado near the community of Essex, Iowa, if you're not aware. So again, prayers for everybody involved. I hope folks are able to recover okay, because that was just a huge disaster that nobody expected last night. So they have just went ahead and issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Hartville and Norwood for areas along Highway 60 there. Again, as we said, they would likely upgrade that damaging wind tag. There you go. Now warned for damaging winds up to 70 miles an hour for eastern Webster County and Wright County in southwestern Missouri. So if you're in this area, we want you to get indoors and away from windows immediately, as this line of storms is starting to congeal with our supercell that we had, and that's going to enhance the damaging wind threat there with both potentially. So a pretty big deal with this line of storms developing across southwestern Missouri. Again, would not be surprised to see some power outages start popping up soon on our power outage tracker map. For anybody wondering what the radar could look like later tonight, this is what the HRRR model is showing us. Again, we're expecting a couple more supercells to develop down there in portions of Oklahoma, with maybe a brief tornado threat associated with them. Now, again, not going to be a great tornado threat at this point in the night, but as we go later into the nighttime hours, again, you can kind of see all the storms that we have congeal into one big line, extending all the way from parts of Texas back into Illinois here, and this is going to promote quite a significant damaging wind threat for the areas that this impacts. So if you're in this area, make sure that you're tying down loose objects or bringing them inside, because it does look like a pretty significant damaging wind threat could be in play around 4 a.m. there, which again, obviously everybody's going to be asleep while that happens too. So again, just make sure the multiplays receive alerts that are going to wake you up. There is also a very low-end chance with a brief tornado embedded in our line of storms. We are at 61 concurrent viewers, so again, I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Again, happy Good Friday for those of you that celebrate it, including myself. But we are unfortunately dealing with not a so happy severe weather event here, as we have been for the past few days across portions of the Midwest. And again, it's looking like that trend is going to continue as we go later into this weekend. Yeah, it's the largest EF1 tornado ever. Funnily enough, there was an EF1 tornado down in Florida today that I almost thought about doing a documentary video on, or at least starting one today after I get done with my December 9th video, because it was such an interesting story. It was a wedge tornado that was about 1.7 miles wide and got rated EF1. But this one, ladies and gentlemen, was 1.78 miles wide. So again, just barely the largest EF1 rated tornado of all time. So again, we are very, very glad that it missed that community of Essex. Otherwise, we would have likely seen that get a much higher rating of EF3, potentially even EF4. Again, obviously a very significant tornado as we were tracking it live last night. Again, we had multiple views of that from our storm chasers on the ground. So a huge shout out to them, especially Freddie McKinney. He went out of his way to make sure that people were okay. He left the tornado, decided to end his chase at that point, just to help people out and make sure that they were doing all right. And Storm Hunter Media did the exact same thing. So again, huge thank you to those storm chasers for allowing us to use their feeds, but also for just being amazing people in general. Whenever these disasters strike, we can count on them to help people get through, which is just an amazing thing and very inspirational to see in the storm chaser community, because obviously there's been a controversy and a history of a lot of storm chasers not being so great people. So I'm glad that some of us are at least getting the reputation off of our back. I don't know why I'm saying us like it's me, but again, just glad to see people doing the right thing. That's what I mean. What's up, Pete? How's it going? Arcs Teen with a carrot. How's it going, everybody? Again, we have quite an active viewership tonight, so I do want to quickly thank you guys again for that. Again, if you are new here, make sure to like and subscribe, as we do this every day for areas all across the country. Even whenever nobody else is live, we're still here for you. Again, we did over 4 hours of live coverage in total yesterday for the horrendous tornado event across portions of the Midwest. Not going to have anything like that tonight, obviously. One, because activity is not going to be nearly the same amount, and then also it's going to be much later at night. But I will say Sunday looks like it could be a very, very long day of severe weather coverage, and it could be something that concerns millions, if not tens of millions of people. So you need to make sure that you do have multiple places receive alerts, and again, you're going to know what's happening at all times, because a day 3 enhanced risk of severe weather in April is something that we don't want to see, because usually that indicates the potential potential for even a couple more upgrades after the enhanced risk stage. Again, an enhanced risk is a 3 out of 5 on the Storm Prediction Center scale. Right now, we're thinking that this looks like it could be a pretty big tornado event, and we've been forecasting this for about a week now. Again, if we take a look at the NAM 3-kilometer model as it starts to come in here on this event, we can see that it is showing a pretty potent damaging wind threat for most of the Midwestern United States, as well as some of the Southern United States here, as we're expecting a huge QLCS event to be in play, similar to what we're going to see tonight from portions of Iowa all the way back into eastern Texas. But if any discrete supercells do pop out ahead of that line, a couple of tornadoes and potentially even a strong tornado can't be ruled out. And the greatest threat for a couple of tornadoes, in my opinion, would come from sections of Missouri back into Arkansas. I think this enhanced risk is likely going to get extended a little bit further down to the south. But anyway, again, just a big active stretch of severe weather coming ahead. Peace out, Levi. Thank you for tuning in. What's up, Landon? But again, just a crazy past few days. Hello, I'm in Shannon County, Missouri. I believe Shannon County is in southern Missouri, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll go ahead and take a look at that for you. So yeah, Shannon County out there in southern Missouri. You are actually going to be watching for this line of storms to impact you within the next 2 to 3 hours. So again, obviously, if you're planning on going to bed tonight at any reasonable time, you want to make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts out here, and that they're going to wake you up just in case you do get put under a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning, as this line of storms looks to grow quite a lot in intensity and in scale as it makes its way that far off to the east towards your region, right? So, anyways, our tornado warning, by the way, has been canceled there, or it hasn't been canceled, but it has been allowed to expire for the Seymour-Fordland area, but we do still have a couple kinks of broad rotation embedded in our line of storm, so we're going to continue to watch that as those approach Hartville and Norwood. Again, the tornado possible tag has been left on this severe thunderstorm warning, indicating that maybe we could see that rotation on one of those areas intensify, and another tornado warning may be issued if that does end up happening, right? So, again, the main thing that we're going to be looking out for out of this line at this point is damaging winds of 60 to 70 miles an hour. That is a huge threat that you can't underplay, that has the potential to down trees and power lines. What's up, Zach? How's it going? Am I the main screamer or the backup screamer? What? Will Winsville, Missouri tonight be okay, or should I leave the emergency alerts on my phone? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you should probably just leave those alerts on in general, because they're not going to go off unless they're very necessary. But Winsville, Missouri is mainly going to be looking out for a big-time damaging wind threat tonight. If we turn on the Day 1 SPC outlook here and also take a look at the HRRR model, we can see that we are expecting this line of storms to move off to your east, and maybe, just maybe, kind of stay east of you. Again, there's a chance that if it doesn't develop far enough north, by the time it gets to you, you may not end up seeing anything, but if it does develop just a little bit earlier, further off to the north, then we could be talking about a pretty significant damaging wind threat. So again, make sure the multiple ways receive alerts, and again, make sure that you're staying aware out there tonight in the Winsville area. I'm doing pretty well, Zach. Is it going to rain today in Abilene, Texas? At this point, probably not. Abilene, Texas is not going to end up seeing any severe storms, I can guarantee you that much, but even rain at this point is somewhat unlikely. So anyways, continuing to watch these lines of storms here, again, mainly starting to congeal into one line in southwestern Missouri. Again, we're watching this broad area of rotation just east of Seymour to potentially try to spin up a tornado here over the next 30 minutes or so. So we're going to watch out for this. Again, 67 people now watching. If you are new here, make sure to like and subscribe, as we do this every day for areas all across the country. I encourage you guys to share this stream with a friend, because as far as I'm aware, we are the only channel live right now for this. So we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for the south side of the Tulsa suburbs. This includes Okmulgee and Muskogee in northeastern Oklahoma. We see this little, what used to be a supercell here, now a line of storms, producing a damaging wind and large hail threat as it approaches the Highway 69 corridor. So if you're in this area, we need you to make sure that you are moving indoors immediately. You know what? I think we have time here. We're going to go ahead and throw up actually a little live sub count just to kind of encourage people to go that extra step further, because again, I don't want to be annoying or anything like that, but whenever we do have these higher activity streams, I try to take best advantage of them, because again, not only does it help me for you guys to subscribe, as it lets me know that this is going to be a potential career option for me in the future, but it also helps you out, because we're going to be giving you the most accurate weather information in live time pretty much as often as we can. And again, we've been doing this for years now, so I like to consider myself somewhat experienced. Again, I don't want to sound egotistical or anything like that, but I like to believe that I know what I'm talking about, and I know that a lot of people agree with that. And again, we've got some amazing tornado documentaries coming out for you guys soon. Again, just all sorts of fun stuff. So if you're interested in weather in any way, make sure to click that subscribe button. So we need to go to the live sub count here. Forgot how to do that for a second. There we go. So 4,014 subscribers right now. We'll go ahead and say that our sub goal for tonight is, we'll go bold. We'll go for 4,030. But anyways, not going to hammer that home too much because I don't want it to get annoying, but I just wanted to, again, remind you guys that that is always an option down there. Why have all these storms in the past hour or so exploded in intensity? It's really just all become a part of whenever the storms were ready to develop and the environment was ready for those storms to develop. So, again, we've had this environment be somewhat ripe for quite a while now, but we had originally one storm develop along the boundary, and that was originally what our trigger was for the first severe thunderstorm warning of the evening. And again, we're starting to see some more of those storms take advantage of this environment finally and explode in intensity, mainly in terms of a damaging wind threat. But again, we have seen a couple kinks of rotation develop in our line of storms. No problem, Dina. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Danielle. But yeah, again, watching mainly for a damaging wind threat here tonight, but some isolated large hail certainly going to be a big-time possibility as well. Actually, originally, there was a hatched hail risk in play by the Storm Prediction Center for this event. I guess it is still in play. I guess I was thinking of the wind threat that has been dropped, the hatched wind threat that was. But we still do have a hatched risk for hail going across portions of Oklahoma and northwestern Texas. Again, at this point, the main area of concern for large hail would be Oklahoma, but the Storm Prediction Center does think that there is going to be that potential to see some large to very large hail as we go later into the evening. And again, we have already had some hail up to golf ball size reported west of Ada with supercells that have been developing here, so make sure that you are watching out for that if you're in this area. Large hail is no joke, as we saw yesterday with all of our storm chasers pretty much that decided to go out and chase our Iowa event. Windshield shattering is a huge problem. So anyways, you guys are indeed. Thank you very much. But again, a broad area of rotation there continuing to develop southwest of Hartville, Missouri. Again, not a great chance of this producing a tornado or anything like that. But keep in mind that this storm did previously have some more impressive rotation, and it was tornado warned. We're starting to see a couple prefrontals develop out ahead of our line of storms, and I will say this isn't a crazy environment for those to explode, but I wouldn't be shocked if a couple of these start trying to rotate soon as they approach the downtown St. Louis area, so just be alert over this region over the next couple of hours. We may see an isolated brief tornado somewhere in this vicinity. What about Nixa, Missouri? I've got you. Let's check it out. So, Nixa. I've never heard of that sound. Okay, so you are currently going through this line of storms. You're just on the edge of it now. So, at this point, you're going to be fine. Again, the damaging winds have passed. All that heavy rain has passed. I will say you do have some more storms off to your west that could potentially make their way to you overnight. Some of these cells that have developed behind our main QLCS event could potentially bring you some heavy rain, some lightning, stuff like that. But for the most part, you're fine. If you need to go to sleep or anything like that, if you were worried, I can put your mind at ease. You are going to be fine. I'll replace you, Twister is crazy. What about Tishomingo, Oklahoma? And then I see Springfield, Missouri there as well, so we'll go ahead and get to that. Sorry if I don't read your messages. Again, we are going to try to focus on everybody's town and their location tonight because, again, we are talking about a very widespread threat for severe weather tonight. So in Tishomingo, you do actually have a little supercell here off your west. Not really a little supercell, a big supercell here near Dixon right now. And this is going to head in your general direction. Now, you could end up seeing some damaging winds with this nasty little guy. But, again, I would doubt too much of a hail threat. It looks like you're just going to be just barely there off to the east of where the most intense part of this supercell goes over. But I would not be shocked to see you in a severe thunderstorm warning here within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So make sure that you do have multiple ways to receive alerts and that you are staying weather aware. So then we've got Springfield, Missouri. You got family in Oklahoma City. At this point, Oklahoma City's fine. We got Springfield, Missouri against Springfield at this point. The line is passed, but it's kind of a similar story to what we were talking about with Nixa. There are a couple more supercells that have developed out behind our line of storms in Oklahoma tonight, and these could potentially bring you a big-time damaging wind or hail threat, but any sort of tornado threat at this point is over. Yeah, not what we were expecting, Footy Fox. And again, that is the largest tornado in Iowa history that we had yesterday. Unbelievable. And again, we also had a devastating EF3 tornado near Bennington, Nebraska, the same exact area that was impacted by a violent EF4 tornado less than a year ago. So again, yesterday was definitely a well overperforming tornado event. One of the most overperforming events I've ever seen. It wasn't just the Storm Prediction Center saying that it was mostly going to be a localized tornado threat, if anything. It was everybody. So, again, definitely was not expecting things to be nearly as intense as they were last night. And I know virtually nobody else was either. And it wasn't just the tornado threat. We had huge hail up to softball size. That part we were expecting and we were forecasting for. But we also had lightning strike a tree and cause a brief wildfire. There was a lot of smoke out there in southwestern Iowa for a brief period of time off to the west of the Malvern to Bohr area. So, again, just an all-around wacky night last night of severe weather coverage. That stream took a lot of twists and turns. Again, we also had those crazy dust devils in southeastern Nebraska that Reed Timmer captured on his live stream. Those were some of the nastiest dust devils I've ever seen. I mean, they were like long-tracking wedge dust devils, which is not something I thought I would ever say. He's having a Day 3 enhanced risk, a rare occurrence, not necessarily in mid-April. But, again, it is a sign that you need to be on the lookout for a significant severe weather threat. And, again, we're talking about significant damaging winds being the main threat here for Sunday. But a couple of tornadoes and maybe a brief strong tornado definitely can't be ruled out across portions of Missouri. And then also I think the tornado threat may be a little bit greater back into parts of Arkansas. Again, I would not be shocked to see this enhanced risk get moved further off to the south. Again, right now that enhanced risk going from portions of west central Illinois back into central sections of Missouri. This includes Jefferson City, Columbia, Hannibal, Quincy, portions of the I-70 and I-72 corridors as well. Again, if you are new here, make sure to subscribe. We're trying to hit 4,030 subscribers tonight. We do this every day for areas all across the country. Whether it's severe weather, hurricanes, or blizzards, we've got you covered. And I will tell you, it certainly looks like we are going to have quite an active hurricane season this year, especially for areas along the Gulf Coast. I'm not saying it's going to rival last year or anything like that, but keep in mind, just because we're not rivaling one of the most intense hurricane seasons in history doesn't mean it can't still be big. Again, last year was a factor, a combination of multiple different factors that led to an extremely intense hurricane season. Some of those factors are still in play this year, some of them are not, so I think that that's going to lead to a moderate to slightly above average hurricane season for you folks along the Gulf Coast. So again, you want to make sure that you're going to subscribe so that you get notified if we do end up going live, which we will be doing for any hurricanes that develop, obviously. We'll have storm chasers on the ground, everything like that. Again, we don't have any storm chasers out there tonight. Everybody kind of ended their streams whenever we were thinking this was going to be a bust. Yeah, that's why you never call a bust too early. But anyways. So again, how's everybody doing tonight? Let me know where you're tuning in from. If you have any questions about your location, make sure to leave those down below. No problem, Connie. So again, at this point, mainly watching a damaging wind threat for areas east of the Springfield Metro. How is this not a bust? Well, you could consider a bust if you were expecting a huge tornado event, but we weren't. Again, we thought that there would be an elevated chance of a brief tornado somewhere in northwest Texas or southwestern Oklahoma, and that didn't end up happening. But again, we weren't expecting anything widespread. It's the fact that we've, had a tornado warning already at this point of night, if anything, means that this is, trying to perform at least. Little Rock, Springfield, Missouri. How's it going, Justin? Good to see you back in here once again. And again, from a wind and hail threat standpoint, we are certainly performing with this event so far. Again, already gotten a lot of reports coming in from all the way in northwest Arkansas back through to North Texas. So, Again, here's a live look from Burlington, Kansas, as a little supercell moves through. Again, all these supercells this far to the north are going to struggle to do anything too impressive. Mainly just going to pop off some lightning and some heavy rainfall. Again, it's going to be further down to the south that we're watching for a more robust severe weather threat, as our instability values further down to the south, obviously much more impressive. Moisture content's more impressive. All around, just a better environment further to the south. Again, we do actually have a decent amount of cape out there tonight for areas out ahead of our line of storms. We're expecting things to kind of peak at around 2,000 or so joules per kilogram of surface-based cape tonight. A little over that, actually. It'd be around 3,000 for the main area where we're expecting to see severe weather, as we have some of that Gulf of Mexico moisture pumping out. And then dew points are actually sitting quite high here as well for this time of year. We're talking about dew points into the 70s for portions of northeastern Texas and southeastern Oklahoma, but dew points into the 60s going all the way back into Michigan, which for April is somewhat uncommon. East Tennessee, I just subscribed. Appreciate your coverage. Thank you so much, dude. That's awesome. I love your username, by the way. Was 30% probabilistic mean for the day 3. So, no, you're good, dude. Again, that's the whole reason that we are here, is to answer your guys' questions and concerns and cover the severe weather. That's all I'm going. But a day 3 30% probability means that there's a 30% chance of severe weather happening within 25 miles of any given point in this red shaded area on Sunday. Now, I know that was a lot of words that we just threw at you, but basically just think of it as your location has a 30% chance of seeing a severe thunderstorm. Is the simplest way to put it there. And, again, on the day 3 outlooks, they don't specify whether that's for, a wind threat, a hail threat, or a tornado threat, but we're kind of looking at an all hazards in play type situation here. So you want to make sure that you do have multiple place receive alerts if you are out there in Missouri, Arkansas, or Illinois on Sunday as well as tomorrow. But again, I'm glad to see all the support and the viewership tonight. That's awesome. And thank you guys so much. Again, the new run of the HRRR model here, the 3Z, is currently coming in, and that's going to give us a better idea on what we're expecting here over the next couple of hours to evolve. I will say it actually does have a couple of supercells firing down there in northwestern and west central Texas very shortly, and we actually do see some of that activity going near the Big Lake, Texas area right now. Again, that will mainly just be a wind threat with any supercells that develop that far south. Again, not too much of a tornado threat at this point of the night. Onward. But remember, damaging winds up to hurricane force still going to be a possibility across portions of the southern and central plains. What do I think about Rogersville, Missouri's tornado threat for tonight? I got you. So, Rogersville, Missouri, you are out there in southwestern Missouri. So, again, at this point, you are good. Again, I know you were under that tornado warning just a few minutes ago, and that was scary and all, but, again, there was no confirmed tornado with that. That was a radar-indicated area of rotation, and it was honestly quite weak anyways. And at this point, a tornado threat is going to be very, very minimal, like maybe a 0.1% chance that your area ends up seeing a tornado tonight. Again, we got some supercells back behind our line of storms that could bring you some wind and some hail, but a tornado threat is very, very minimal. Again, we're not going to say that it's absolutely zero, but I mean, it's close. It would be extremely hard for these supercells to fire off a tornado in this kind of environment. Jesse, how's it going? Jesse, I don't know if you're home or not, but if you want to hop on the stream, man, feel free to call. I guess I should probably turn Do Not Disturb off if I wanted to offer that. Yeah, Missouri is an area that we cover quite often. Again, usually because, if we have a Central Plains event, Missouri's involved. If we have a Midwest event, Missouri's involved. If we have a Mississippi Valley threat, Missouri's involved. Sometimes even if we have a Dixie threat, Missouri ends up seeing a cold core tornado threat. Now, obviously, this year in particular, Missouri has had a very rough start to tornado season with things like the Bakersfield EF3, the Van Buren EF3, the Potosi EF3, and more, but we are expecting tornado season to calm down there a little bit and become a little bit more intense in what people typically refer to as Tornado Alley over the next few months. That was a horrible voice crack, by the way. Definitely not as bad as some of the ones I've had before, though. Yeah, I think that's a fake Mr. Dibble. Oh my gosh, it is not. Riley freaking Dibble in the... um, 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 and max velocity. Um, 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 so how's it going, guys? Everybody, give a what's up to Max Velocity and Riley Dibble. That is incredible. Thank you guys so unbelievably much for tuning in. That's insane. Again, obviously, huge inspirations to me in the weather community. They've also been incredibly helpful to this channel in general. Again, so I cannot thank you guys enough for all that you've done for me and inspiring me and everything. And again, I know I say this every time that folks join, but I really do think that you guys are awesome, and I want you to know that. And again, thank you guys so much for joining the stream. That's insane. I saw Mr. Dibble, and I guess I didn't have him modded. I don't know. I swear I modded him, and I thought it was fake. And then I see Max Velocity saying and I'm like, okay. So I'm gonna guess that that's real. Oh my goodness. It has been a while. What is going on, guys? Wow. Again, that is incredible. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Wow. Oh my goodness, dude. That is insane. I'm literally shaking. Oh my goodness. It's been a while since I've been this shocked on stream. Wow. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the ongoing severe weather threat across portions of the Midwest. Dude, I'm still kind of shocked, I'm not going to lie. Oh my goodness, dude. That is insane. Again, we should probably get back to coverage here. What is the tornado risk for Whitesboro, Texas? By the way, huge congrats to Riley Dibble on the new position that you've got there with Mr. Max Velocity. Huge congrats. But anyways, Whitesboro, Texas at this point, not going to be dealing with too much of a tornado threat. Again, at this point, we're going to be dealing with lower and lower instability values through, every single hour that we go through. And if we take a look at the HRR's future track, we can see that a lot of these supercells here mainly just look like big-time wind bags, if anything, right? So, again, we're going to see these kind of connect with our big old line of storms up to the north. But if that happens a little bit further off to the east, you may not end up seeing hardly anything. You may just see some heavy rain and lightning. But again, definitely going to be looking out for some isolated damaging winds. Again, any sort of tornado threat, very, very low. Very, very low to none. Again, though, I'm still kind of shocked. Again, I'm sorry if I'm not quite up to par with what I usually am able to do. But, oh my goodness. I'm worried about the Farmington, Missouri area tonight. Well, I can tell you there's no reason to be worried right off the bat because you're not going to end up hardly seeing any tornado threat whatsoever. Again, the only thing that you'd have to look out for is damaging winds. And again, that would come with our QLCS event that we're expecting very late tonight into the early morning time hours of tomorrow for your region. About 5 a.m. there's where we'd see that damaging wind threat peak, potentially some damaging winds up to 70 miles an hour. Again, tornado threat incredibly low. Again, mainly just going to be looking out for some damaging winds. Again, I'm still just kind of trying to process this, so excuse me if I'm a little off-brand, but oh my goodness. Anyways, a couple new severe thunderstorm warnings just issued, one of them going out for the north side of the Tulsa metro region. This is for Foyle and Chelsea for quarter-sized hail, and then we also got another one for areas further off to the east for damaging wind gusts up to 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So if you're in this area, make sure you are moving indoors and away from windows. It would be cool if Ryan Hall came in here. That would be a little more than cool. I'm not going to lie to you guys, though. I have gotten a couple of warnings to quiet down a little bit, so we're certainly going to do that. I was wondering why the risk for widespread Texas, because we were hit by very heavy wind and ripped off our roof and knocked over lots of trees, and it hit one of our rooms. I'm kind of confused if there's a question there or not. I'm sorry, I don't really understand. Okay, again, as I said, I've gotten a couple warnings to be quiet, but Max Velocity and Riley Dibble with the $2 ERMs. Guys, spam up those W's in the chat. Again, this is now an ASMR stream because I've been told to shut up. Oh my goodness. That is incredible, though. Again, thank you guys so much. I mean, that is insane. Wow. Anyways. Again, I'm screaming on the inside. Not saying much on the outside. But wow. That's incredible. Anyways. Oh my goodness, dude. I cannot. Oh, did chat get disabled? Oh, it didn't. Okay. Oh my goodness. Again, this is now an ASMR stream because I have to be a lot more quiet, but this is incredible. Again, thank you guys so much. If you somehow are not subscribed to those goats, you have to go do it. You have to go do it. They're legitimately some of the biggest inspirations for my channel. Without them, I almost certainly would not be here. So, I mean here on YouTube. That sounded very dark for a second. Will I remember you in 5 years? Yes, Arcs. I will remember you in 5 years. All because of that one weird edit that you made. No, I'm kidding. But anyways, again, the last thing I want to happen right now is I have to end the stream because I'm being too loud. Kevin M. with the $10 donation. Spam up those W Kevins in the chat. My goodness, folks. W Kevins down below. Again, thank you so much for the $10 donation. Donations are not required, but they are greatly appreciated. That was a horrible voice crack. But thank you so much, Kevin, for the $10 dono. Spam up those W Kevins down below in the chat. Amazing stuff. The massive donation, indeed. Wow. So again, thank you so much, Kevin, for the $10 donation. It's awesome. You know what else is massive? Yeah, you're good, Mr. Twister. Yeah, awesome people. Again, Kevin's also a goat now for that $10 donation. It's amazing stuff. We're dragging the meme into 2025. We're doing it. Is it slow tonight? If you mean by activity, it's about what we were expecting. Again, expecting that damaging wind threat to increase as we go later into the nighttime hours tonight. But wow. Again, that's crazy. Nope, no sort of tornado threat for the Farmington area. See you, Mr. Twister. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, congrats to Riley. That's awesome. Springfield area is fun. Again, we've gone over the Springfield area a couple times. Springfield at this point is good. Again, we're going to be watching for some of these supercells off to your southwest to come your way, but those would just promote any sort of damaging wind threat. No sort of tornado threat for anybody worried in the Springfield area. Kentucky's absolutely fine for tonight. I will tell you, we're going to be dealing with a couple days of severe weather where western Kentucky could end up seeing some thunderstorms. But again, it would just be remnants of these bigger events that we're going to end up seeing in the Mississippi Valley. Again, I honestly think that Sunday looks like it could promote a pretty significant tornado threat, but also a huge damaging wind threat. And I don't think a lot of people are talking about the wind threat, just because everybody likes to focus in on tornadoes, but damaging winds certainly cannot be ruled out. Again, 70, 80 miles an hour potentially. It's a little far out to say specific numbers, but again, specifically across portions of Missouri and Arkansas, big-time damaging wind threat there for Sunday in the evening time hours. Franklin, Arkansas, you can hear the wind. Franklin, Arkansas, you just got impacted by a big-time tornado about a month ago, so I hope you're doing all right. See you, Evan. Thank you for tuning in. Alrighty. Happy Good Friday. Happy Good Friday indeed. Will your reaction be if a tornado forms in Whitesboro, Texas? Okay. Again, significant tornado parameter values there are areas that are going to be impacted by our line. The significant tornado parameter values kind of ride along with, and significant tornado parameter values have difficulty factoring in things like storm mode and such. So realistically, even if the significant tornado parameter values shoot out a 3, the actual probabilities are very, very low. And again, embedded tornadoes in a QLCS, those are a thing. All right, lines of storms can still produce tornadoes, but usually what we end up seeing is discrete supercells out ahead of our line are what bring us the greatest tornado threat. We keep getting flooded here in Percy, Illinois. I'm assuming that's southern Illinois. Indeed. So yeah, you are under that flood watch there, as we are expecting multiple rounds of thunderstorms to impact your region over the next few days. Again, early tomorrow morning, you're going to be dealing with this same line of storms that we're seeing develop in Missouri here. Again, it would be about 6, 7 a.m. for the Percy area. So make sure that you're prepared. Have multiple ways to receive alerts. Have a tornado action plan in place just in case, but tornado threat overall very low. All right, see you, Mr. Twister. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, Arcs. Again, this is the I was kind of shocked whenever I heard that Easter Sunday was on April 20th this year. Yeah, certainly, Justin. Alrighty. Next year it's on April 5th. Well, thank you for the heads up. What is it even, how do they determine what day it falls on? What day does Easter fall on? The first Sunday after the full moon that occurs on or after the spring equinox. It's actually pretty interesting. I did not know that. Something about the moon. Last time Easter fell this late, it was 2014. I'd believe it. Again, I don't ever remember Easter falling this late, so that would make sense. New severe thunderstorm warning there. That is doing the little disappearing trick that Raider Omega is famous for. But we'll see that pop up here again in just a second. Sometimes whenever it pops back up, it has the alert sound, and sometimes it doesn't. This time it did not. So that new severe thunderstorm warning there going out for Okmulgee, Henrietta, and Okemos. I actually could see a big-time flooding threat starting to ramp up here pretty soon because, again, these same areas are getting hammered and hammered over and over again by severe thunderstorms and heavy rain, specifically over Okmulgee County. So I would not be shocked to see a flash flood warning come out for this region soon. If we take a look at storm total precipitation values here, we can see that we've already seen a good few inches of rain across sections of central Oklahoma, and these same areas are going to end up seeing more rain on top of that. So, certainly not an impossibility. Easter 2029 is on April Fool's Day. Okay. Anyways. Well, now we're just talking about Easter dates. Yeah, let's get to 100 likes. We're 6 away. If you haven't already, make sure to like the stream. Ugh, bad voice crack. Alrighty. Your live's behind. If you turn on 2 times speed, it'll catch up, and then it'll automatically put you back on a normal speed. Just a little pro tip there. So you can see this Boeing segment starting to become more evident in our Missouri line. Again, this is likely indicative of a pretty significant damaging wind threat here, as this approaches West Plains, as well as the Robidoux area. How's Sikeston doing? I don't remember exactly where that's at. I know it's Missouri. So Sikeston's going to be doing all right. Again, some rain tomorrow morning, but no sort of severe weather threat. Again, just some moderate to heavy rainfall there. Say 7, 8, 9 a.m. But no, Sykeston's fine. We hit it. 100 likes. Again, I would be showing a little bit more enthusiasm about that, but it is very late at night. I will note our supercell approaching Okmulgee has broad rotation. You can confirm for multiple radars now. So again, if you are in Henrietta or Okmulgee, make sure that you are prepared to seek shelter if necessary. But at this point, mainly just watching for some damaging winds with that. So anyways, July 4th on a Friday this year. I want to say Christmas is on a Saturday. It's a Thursday. Okay. We do have a new mesoscale discussion here from the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service, mentioning that damaging winds, large hail, and even an isolated tornado can't be ruled out throughout the overnight hours across south central Missouri as this line evolves. So, again, areas in between Rolla and West Plains, west to east, Springfield to Farmington, make sure that you are prepared here. Again, for some of you guys, this is going to be an early morning time hours thing, more than it is a late night time hours thing. But anyways, Halloween's on a Friday as well. Again, look at this. You can see all these files here for not only the Hendersonville video, but also upcoming Twisted video on the second channel. So if you haven't already, make sure to go subscribe to that. St. Louis Airport tomorrow. Well, if you have any flights and you're asking about delays, there's a good chance of that. But if you're just talking about the general area, mainly just going to be watching out for some heavy rain in the early morning hours, and then maybe some thunderstorms associated with tomorrow's event. If we look at the 0Z run of the HRRR, we can get a better look at that. We can see that we are expecting a lot of the activity tomorrow to remain off to your south, but some heavy rain possible into Sunday morning there. And then more thunderstorms on Sunday night. Sunday night's going to be huge. Because again, Easter Sunday, people are busy. They may not be paying attention to the weather. That could arise some problems. Anyways. Again, I'm still just kind of in disbelief that Max Velocity and Riley Dibble were in this stream less than 30 minutes ago. But means I'm a special guy. I appreciate that. they're still here. All right. Again, I'd be a little more enthusiastic about that, but it is very late at night. But I very much do appreciate that. And again, thank you so much for the donations as well. That's insane. That's crazy. The ERMs. I can just imagine them on call saying, what if we just say the word ERM as we hop in? Again, if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. We do this every day for areas all across the country. These voice cracks are killing me. This is bad. So again, at this point, mainly just going to be watching for some damaging winds for the rest of the night across portions of Missouri, Arkansas, and northeastern Oklahoma. Again, as we get into the early morning time hours of tomorrow, that cape will lower significantly. And we're going to watch these storms gradually weaken, but continue to bring some heavy rain there to portions of the Ohio Valley. And then tomorrow is going to be pretty much an identical event to today, in my opinion. We do have a greater tornado risk, in my opinion, for tomorrow, especially across portions of Oklahoma and especially down to like central Texas. Again, the placement of our trough right now is just so favorable for this extremely active severe weather pattern here. That, I mean, we're just saying event after event after event. So is that actually what ASMR stands for? Broderick Howard. How's it going, my good sir? Hope you're having a lovely, lovely evening. Did you get any cool lightning flicks? I would guess not, unfortunately, because you're a little further off to the east there, but thank you for tuning in, my good sir. Let's get you modded up. Entering some old storm photos right now. Sweet. You had work too. Gotcha. Well, thank you for tuning in. Well, it's kind of loud. New severe thunderstorm warning there going out for the southeast portion of the Tulsa suburbs, again for Muskogee and Tahlequah. This is mainly going to be for a damaging wind threat. Again, eventually all these Oklahoma cells are going to congeal into a line, but for right now, damaging winds up to 60 miles an hour and some quarter-size hail can't be ruled out. So if you're in this area, make sure that you are moving indoors. Again, this is for the Highway 69 corridor in between Grove and Broken Arrow. Again, I could certainly see a flash flooding threat ramp up in this area here if we continue to see more cells over the same exact area. Any risk for Quincy, Illinois? Not really tonight, because our line, by the time it's fully congealed, is going to be well off to your east. But I will say we're going to be watching you quite closely on Sunday. Again, looking like a pretty significant tornado threat here on Sunday, especially across portions of Missouri and Arkansas, but as well as far western Illinois. At the very least on Sunday, you're going to end up seeing some big-time damaging winds. Shannon County, Missouri. So, Shannon County, I believe that's southern if I'm correct. It is indeed. So, we're going to be watching for this line to continue to push off to your east. Again, it's taking that classic nasty bow echo shape there. Look at how beautiful that is on the radar. I just called it beautiful and nasty at the same time. But, again, damaging winds up to 60 miles an hour. Keep in mind this area has had some recent history of developing some embedded rotation, at least briefly. So make sure that you're moving indoors if you are in these severe thunderstorm warnings. If you're out ahead here, make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts that are going to wake you up. Davis has way too many mods. I don't think so. New severe thunderstorm warning for downtown OKC for $50 size hail. If you're in Oklahoma City, make sure you're moving indoors and away from windows. 6334. I think that's Southern Illinois, isn't it? No, Bowling Green, Missouri. I'm not very smart. So, again, not going to be looking out for you too much tonight because everything's going to remain off to your southeast. But Sunday, definitely going to be watching for some damaging winds and a couple of tornadoes, maybe even an isolated strong tornado threat. Again, I will say instability values are a little bit iffy as of right now. Let's go over to the NAM model here. It says we're on the NAM, but then it has the radar products. Okay. So let's go over to the instability values, the CAPE values. Stands for convective available potential energy. As we go into Sunday's event here. Come on, any day. Again, we can see that our CAPE values are going to be somewhat iffy. Now, they are going to be elevated across that area where we think that we're going to end up seeing the greatest wind and tornado threat. But even then, they peak whenever we're going to end up seeing those storms at around 2,000 to 2,500 joules per kilogram. So that's going to be an iffy bit of this system. And again, there's a couple other factors that could potentially limit any sort of significant tornado threat that were to develop in that area. 72536. Triple pointer bus, let's go, dude. Ride with it. So Franklin, Arkansas, again, you're going to be looking out for some damaging winds tonight. But for the most part, this line's actually going to end up bringing you some heavy rain. And again, that would more so be an early morning thing for you than a late night thing, actually. Looking out for about 9, 10 a.m. there for some gusty winds and heavy rain. Thank you, Grifter. 65746. Seymour, Missouri. So you just got impacted by this bow echo line. You're going to end up seeing some more thunderstorms here for the next 30 minutes or so, bringing down all that heavy rain, that lightning. But outside of that, not a whole lot of intensity. Yep, you are good to go to bed. Holy cow, we have over 100 people watching. That's insane. If you are new here, make sure to like and subscribe. We do this every day for areas all across the country. Yesterday we did 4 hours of coverage for that just absolutely devastating surprise tornado event across the Central Plains. Again, I think that'll end up being the most intense day after everything's said and done of this active stretch of severe weather. Again, our trough placement is just so favorable right now. So favorable for severe thunderstorms. Again, not necessarily tornadic storms, because we've been lacking some instability and a couple other things, depending on which day you're talking about. Some of the storms have been elevated, but definitely quite an interesting stretch of severe weather, to say the least. Very interesting. Yep, you are good, Beverly Creek. I don't know why I said Beverly. Well, the one stream was 3 hours, 16 and 38, but we had another stream on top of that was about 40 minutes. So all in all, it was about 3 hours, 50 minutes of coverage, so just rounded up there to 4 hours. Again, I don't know how we're managing to sustain 100 viewers. That is incredible. Thank you guys so much. A lot of Sunday talk for sure. Oklahoma City has storms moving in. Yep. Mainly just gonna be looking out for some big old hailstones with those. Our vertically integrated liquid signatures there show a swath of hail moving through the southern suburbs of OKC right now, like Norman and Moore. I don't deserve to be put in the same category as Ryan Hall, but I appreciate that. That sub count's climbing fast. It is indeed. Man, thank you guys so much. That's crazy. I don't know if Max and Riley are still in here, but that was unbelievable. That's crazy. I don't even know, again, like, I can imagine what they were saying. You know, let's go into his stream and let's say and I'll give it to him. I don't know what I'm giving to them, but I'm giving something. This is Davis's brain, how it operates at midnight. New severe thunders for morning there for Rolla and St. Robert. For some quarter-sized hills, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and it does have the tornado possible tag on it. Again, this has had a history of some broad rotation embedded in the line. Again, it's still kind of got that Boeing segment there, so we're going to watch out for an elevated threat of damaging winds as that continues to push eastward. One sub away from 4,050, chat. Here we go. Quietest Davis' weather stream ever. It's fair. One away. We're one away. Get us to 4,050, dude. We're so close. Just one more. We'll just pretend like the sub goal was 4,050 the whole time. This happens every time. Okay. Again, I really do appreciate the support, though, guys. I mean, this is just crazy. A year ago, if this is what you told me we'd be at, I would not have believed you. My sub goal for last year was like 1,000. Was it 1,000? Oh my goodness, it was. Or no, it was 2,000. 1,000 was our 2023 goal. But at the start of this year, we were at like maybe 3,100 or so. And we're already 1,000 above that, so I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Oh, I got you, Mr. Magnet. Anyways. Hey, 4,050. Thank you so much, Pete. Dude, you're blessed by God. You're amazing. Anyways, chat. I think, unfortunately, our time ends here. Again, I've already gotten multiple warnings to be quiet. So, I can imagine that I'm probably annoying quite a few people in the household right now. So, we're going to end off our severe weather coverage here for tonight. Again, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Max and Ryan, if you're still watching, thank you so much for joining. W. Kevin, W. Mr. Twister, W. Everybody for the donations. Again, thank you to everybody that subscribed. But that's it for tonight, chat. So again, make sure to come back tomorrow because we will be here. We'll also likely have a forecast video out for tomorrow. But that's it. Peace.